Hello everybody, this is Fernando for the latest Cryptids and Monsters video. I thought I would make a new one just for fun because the topic I'm about to cover, when I discovered it just the other day, I realized just how amazing this topic was, and so I wanted to share it with everybody as soon as possible. So a big treat to all you Cryptids and Monsters fans, because this cryptid is definitely one of the most interesting ones I have ever come across. And it's the cryptid that's known as the concept as a Foo Fighter. That's right, it's a Foo Fighter. And no, we're not talking about the band, but the band itself apparently adopted this name. We're talking about the cryptid known as the Foo Fighter. And what's interesting about this particular cryptid is that for a very brief period, it was seemingly in many places all at once, and then it hasn't really been seen since, at least not to the extent that it was during this period. And the period that I'm talking about is World War II. So you'll see a picture of it here, and essentially what the Foo Fighter is it's not the official name, but it's the I guess the term that's used to describe this. It's essentially a ball of light, some kind of rotating ball of light, some kind of blinking ball of light, something like a lens flare of some sort that seemed to have followed many airplanes, those that were involved in World War II, across the field, across the ocean, practically in many places during this time period. And we're talking about for several years, probably about maybe 1944, 45, 46, somewhere around there, where a slew of reports were being done left and right, not just by the Americans, but by different areas as well. We're talking about soldiers in England, soldiers in India, of course in America, other places as well. And what they reported was as follows. They stated that they would see these lights. They described these objects as fiery and glowing, with the colors either being red, white, or orange. Some of the pilots, in fact, mentioned that they looked a lot like Christmas tree lights. And in a roundabout way, what these lights would do, they would do no harm. All they would do is just essentially follow these pilots and their aircraft. They would follow them. The pilots would try to lose them, but no matter how quickly they tried to maneuver or how quickly they tried to go, in terms of speed, these lights always followed them. And in fact, they flew formation with their aircraft and turned left and right as they did, almost as if they were under a quote-unquote intelligent control. But it's key to remember that for all these experiences the pilots had with these cryptids, they never had any kind of hostile behavior. On the other hand, the pilots themselves, who were no doubt a little bit spooked out at seeing these lights follow them left and right, some of them tried to be hot shots of some sort and tried to shoot them down. And even when that was happening, these cryptids did not do anything harmful afterward. There was a report of one fighter who was able to shoot this one of the Foo Fighters down, and when he shot him, it separated into several small balls of light, and then those balls of light just fell to the ground, and whatever they touched set things on fire. In this case, there was the gunner of a B-29 aircraft. He shot it, broke into several pieces, and then those pieces fell on some buildings below, which set them on fire. And you'll see again, several pictures of them, including this one here, that shows a good indication of like what these lights look like. And what's interesting, I mean, these are actual pictures. These are photographs that people have taken, because during this time there were a lot of journalists and a lot of photographers for newspapers reporting the war, and they were able to take all these pictures, and they were able to point out and highlight, what are these things. The size of these things, by the way, they look to indicate to be smaller than the aircraft, probably the size of maybe half a human, something like that. Not too large, not too small, but just enough so that they would be noticeable. And that was their thing, that was their shtick. They would follow these pilots everywhere they went, and then they would just accelerate and then disappear. So very fascinating stuff. And what led to another turning point is actually the Foo Fighters have been stated as a cause of a very, very fascinating incident that occurred in Los Angeles. I have not heard of this before, but if anyone has, you'll know how interesting this thing is. It's called the Battle of Los Angeles. And no, it's not about the recent movie. In fact, this happened in 1942, in February of 1942. It's amazing that this thing happened and hardly anybody reports it, but this is essentially what happened. It could have been these Foo Fighters, it could have been something else. It could have been secret surveillance, secret planes from World War II, from Japan, from Germany, who knows, but something apparently flew over Los Angeles, and while it didn't attack Los Angeles, it definitely caused enough of a commotion so that the entire night sky was lit up with anti-aircraft artillery by the Americans. And this is the way it happened. You'll have to go to the night of February 24th, and this was all over LA. What had happened was some people were starting to report what looked to be some mysterious balls of light going towards or around Los Angeles, and the way they described it was that evening a large number of flares and blinking lights were reported from the vicinity of defense plants, and the defense plants were a known area there in Los Angeles that had to do with the war front. And immediately when that happened, tensions were elevated, and an astounding circumstance, whoever was in charge over that area there from the military ordered the entire city to go under blackout. And we're talking total blackout, every light turned off. And the reason for this is to ensure that these lights could better be illuminated. And you'll see a picture of them here. This is again a real picture. This is it. This is real life. This is what happens, and some photographer took a picture of it. And no sooner was their light spotted than probably hundreds of anti-aircraft artillery suddenly started barraging the night sky. If anyone has ever seen the original Gulf War famous photos of, and I'm talking about the night vision ones that showcase the anti-aircraft trying to shoot down the American military planes, it was like that, but here in America. And the entire night was filled with these anti-aircraft artillery shots raining throughout the sky trying to take these things down. And there was not a single one of them that was found, that was taken down. And the entire city stayed under blackout. After the last shot was done, everything was considered cleared by about 7 in the morning that day, the following day. But that was an incident that could be attributed to a real-life cryptid, in this case these Foo Fighters, coming over the U.S. in a large mass. And who knows what they were going to do, but it was something enough to alert everybody, so that an entire town, Los Angeles, imagine if it was today, if you had a town suddenly ordered to have a blackout because some mysterious aircraft, something unknown was flying over, that it was enough to shut down the entire city. That's how momentous this was, and that's what I found to be most interesting on there. So there are though explanations and theories as to what essentially these Foo Fighters are, and I gotta be honest, some of them do make sense. One of those is the concept known as St. Elmo's fire, and what that is it's a phenomenon that occurs where if you have something metallic going across, let's say, the sky, and the weather is just in an area where there's a strong electric field, it tends to produce plasma towards the end of these metal points, and it tends to create this, and there's no clearer picture than just looking at like something like this. You'll see what I mean here. Whenever you have something like an electrical plasma discharge, that's apparently what some people think was happening with these aircraft. There were so many aircraft flying around during World War II, so much metal in the sky, that no doubt when they were in and around large areas, electrical storms, there was bound to be some kind of electrical friction happening between their aircraft and the surrounding areas, so that could be an explanation. Others have attributed it to just ball lightning, and the reason why we don't really hear about it today in terms of Foo Fighters and maybe ball lightning causing this is because, again, this was an era when there was a huge number of aircraft flying throughout the skies. Probably no time can I think of anywhere else where the war front caused so many planes from all countries to be up in the sky at the same time. And when you have something like that happens, then you're bound to have more situations where nature and natural occurrences such as ball lightning and St. Elmo's fire would occur more likely on that regard. And then others have attributed it to the potential UFOs, but there hasn't been much. I don't know, because the research I was looking, that people haven't really gone with that angle, because this was a strange phenomenon that there's people seeing stuff like UFOs, and then there's this, which is yet something else, and I attribute it more to it being a cryptid, because this could be something along the lines of those atmospheric beasts that I did a video on a couple of months back. You should check it out when you have a chance in my Cryptids and YouTube channel. You see what I'm talking about. How these Foo Fighters may just be atmospheric beasts interacting with these planes, to the extent, because again, we have never seen the number of planes out there up in the air like as we did during World War II, and so maybe they were curious and trying to figure out, what these things were that were flying with them. So anyways, that's the Cryptids and Monsters video here for Foo Fighters. What do you guys think? A very amazing phenomenon, very amazing cryptid, unknown again what they are or what their role was, especially with that famous Battle of Los Angeles, which was amazing again to think that something like this happened in real life. And there's something else apparently that occurred in Brazil, like a real life invasion of some sort, that I'll have to do some research on and see and talk about that later on. But otherwise, what do you guys think? Have y'all heard of it? Do you know anybody that has come across these things, these Foo Fighters? Post your comments, share your thoughts below with everybody, and as always, thanks again. Take care, man.